What is up, guys? RGT85 here, and today on the channel we are taking a look at Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice for the Nintendo Switch. Now, this game originally came out on the PS4 back in 2017, was then brought over to the Xbox One back in 2018, and then Ninja Theory, the company that developed this game, was then purchased by Microsoft. So a lot of people did not expect this game to end up on the Nintendo Switch, but here we are in 2019 with Senua's Sacrifice on the Nintendo Switch. And I definitely have a lot of things to say about this game. I've been playing it for about 2 hours or so. It's not a very long game. I've been told it's about 6 to 7 hours, but with Nintendo Labo VR coming out tomorrow, I'm obviously going to want to spend a lot of time with that. But I definitely wanted to share my thoughts on this game with you guys because it's a very unique game, especially for the Nintendo Switch, and the main character looks kind of like Sigourney Weaver. I mean, you gotta see it there. She looks a bit like Sigourney Weaver. I'm sorry if that ruins the game for you. But basically this game, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, is a game that the main story of it is based sort of on mental illness and mental doubt, anxiety, fear, and things like that. You have voices talking to you in your head that are sometimes doubting you, sometimes guiding you along, and you're basically going through different scenarios that have happened in this region and experiencing them for yourself. It's a very interesting story. I don't think I've ever played anything quite like it. Maybe a bit of Eternal Darkness, and we'll talk about that a bit later on in the video. But one of the things that really stands out in this game has to be the presentation of it. The audio is just absolutely top-notch. The voice acting is phenomenal. It's some of the best voice acting that I've ever heard in a game. I would say that the music is very minimalistic. It only happens sort of in certain times. I was doing a boss fight a bit earlier, and some really epic music sort of came along that played into the boss fight, I felt. But the audio and just the presentation in general is just very, very well done. You can see that the game is basically very highly stylized as well. And I know that's a term I use a lot, but this is a game that you don't really see very often on the Nintendo Switch. Obviously, there are a lot of third-person adventure games on things like the PS4 and the Xbox One, but as far as the Nintendo Switch is concerned, you don't really see games with this sort of style, this graphical style. You know, it looks a bit like God of War on the PS4 or Shadow of the Tomb Raider, games like that, Uncharted. It's just a style that you don't see very often, and this game was heralded as a very beautiful looking game. So when it was announced for the Nintendo Switch, people were like, well, how's that gonna work? Now, this game does run on Unreal Engine 4, so that can obviously be ran on the Nintendo Switch and scaled appropriately, but I think this game looks absolutely fantastic. It's probably one of the best looking games on the Nintendo Switch, maybe with a bit of an asterisk. I do have to say that obviously graphical style has to be played into account when saying something like that. A game like Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey obviously has a very different graphical style than a game like Hellblade, but to see a game like Hellblade running on the Nintendo Switch so nice and so smooth and just with a lot of graphical fidelity, yeah, there's some low-res textures here and there, but honestly, as a whole, this is the type of game where if you're playing it and somebody walks by and, you know, they would think that this is a PS4 game. They would think that this is an Xbox One game glancing at it. I don't necessarily think that they would think this is a Nintendo Switch game. Now, the way the gameplay in Hellblade is broken up, it's basically a lot of puzzles, and there is some combat as well. You can see that right now we are involved in some combat, which is very, very well done. Feels a bit like the recent God of War game as far as how you play it. Once again, something you don't really see very often on the Nintendo Switch. You have basic weak attacks, you have strong attacks, you can dodge, and you can also block attacks. You also have a focus attack that I'm doing right now that slows down time. You basically build up your focus meter by doing things like avoiding attacks or hitting good attacks. It's definitely needed because sometimes you'll be put into situations like we are right now where there are multiple enemies that are battling us, demons if you will, and now we see a different character type here, a bigger, more brute sort of guy, so we got to watch out. You can also use audio clues that are done by the voices in the game that will say, you know, if there's someone behind you or something like that. So you need to dodge, you need to roll, you need to parry. So I really like the combat in the game, though. I do wish the combat had a bit more of a focus in the game. Like I said, you do a lot of puzzles in the game, which I'm sure we'll come across very, very soon. But I like the combat. You know, it's very satisfying. It feels very responsive. The controls themselves are very well done. So, oh, we got someone behind us. Let's dodge that. Let's go ahead and hit the focus meter, and let's just slash these dudes up. Like, just very, very satisfying. And once again, a style that you don't see very often on the Nintendo Switch. And, you know, you see everything is running beautifully. beautifully here. Looks like we've defeated the enemies, so now we can progress through the areas. One thing that I really like about the game as well is as you're playing it, environments will change based on what is going on in the story. So you'll be in one area, see, like this was just a very dark and brooding area, and now it's very open and very airy and very light out. So you get a lot of cool instances like that, and it just really plays into the graphical style of the game and shows that there is a lot of polish. Now, when you're in normal mode and you're not battling, you basically don't have much to do. You can interact with certain objects, you can focus on certain objects, which plays into the puzzles, and you can run. So let's run up here, interact with this, and maybe we can advance. Open it. Yeah, here we go. So you can see that we're coming up to a interesting looking door here that we can focus on. And now we have to try to find this symbol. So that's one of the things that you're doing in this game. The puzzles basically are like looking for symbols, trying to match up symbols, trying to find hidden things in the area. And I like it. You know, it's definitely a bit different than, you know, a normal puzzle scheme that you see in a game, but I definitely think it plays into the game. It plays into, you know, using your brain and using your abilities and what you have around you to sort of work out these puzzles, find these different objects. Let's see. You pretty much have to like find a certain position, and the game will sort of, the game does help you along in terms of finding it. Like, it'll pop up on the screen. You see like there's some interesting graphical effects that are going on right now. It'll sort of pop up on the screen that there's something similar in that area, and you're in the general vicinity as far as solving the puzzle goes. So let's go ahead and figure this out. To break the seal, align the ravens with the mark of Valvron. So let's see here. I feel like it's that thing, but I don't want to go too far back unless we're supposed to. Sometimes you have to use like your environment to your advantage, like get up on different vantage points or look at things from a different angle in order for it to work. So I'm pretty sure that's what we're doing here. What is this thing? Oh, wait. Okay, so there's a path up here. So this is probably what we have to do. Get up a little bit higher. But you can just see, like, the graphics in this game are just very unlike normal Switch games. And I like that. I like to see games that look like this. You know, games that have a very high visual fidelity on the Nintendo Switch. And there we go. Puzzle solved, and now that door is open. So that's pretty much what you're doing with the puzzles in this game. There's different symbols that happen and occur, and you basically have to find them in certain areas in the game. Now, one thing that I really like about the game is, like I said, there's a bit of an eternal darkness aspect to the game. Now, if you don't want spoilers on this, I talked to Spawnwave and Dreamcast guy about this. You know, go ahead and just skip about a minute ahead of the video. But if you do want some little bit of spoilers at that, go ahead and stick around. I'm warning you, we're about to get into the spoilers. Okay, so you can see on Senua's arm, her arm is a bit black at the bottom of that. And basically what happens is when you die in the game, your arm will continue to get blacker and blacker. It'll go up your body basically. And the game tells you that if it reaches your head and your head ends up, you know, getting this evil on it, you will die and you will lose your game. So what I was doing is when I would die, I would basically exit out to the main menu that you can see here and just, you know, get out before the game would autosave. So that way my arm little fungus wouldn't keep growing. And so I messaged Spawnwave and Dreamcast guy and I was like, yeah, I got this game figured out. I just keep leaving whenever I'm about to die. And they're like, you know that's just trolling, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, the game lies to you. There is no permadeath. There's no, you know, save wiping or anything. And I was like, are you serious? And they were like, yeah, it just plays into your mental aspect. So I was absolutely blown away by that. Like I said, I haven't seen anything like that since a game like Eternal Darkness. And, you know, I like things like that. I think that's very, very clever and that's very, very unique. And that really is a good staple for this game. It is very clever and it is very unique. If you're a multi-platform owner, I would probably pick up the game on the PS4 or the Xbox One, just mainly because of the fact that, of course, the game is cheaper on there. It's actually free on Games Pass. But if you only own a Nintendo Switch, you really need to buy this game. Like I said, it's $30. I really wish there was a physical version of this game because it's a game that I feel kind of needs a physical version. Maybe we'll get one from Limited Run Games. That would be super awesome. Or any of these companies, you know, maybe be able to do a physical version of this game because it honestly deserves it. Like, it's so unique. It definitely is a game that stands out in the Nintendo Switch's library and really fortifies the system as something that has something for everyone. I absolutely love this game. I wish I could have beaten it and done like a full review on it, but like I said, you know, just timing with the Labo VR coming out, obviously that's going to take me like 100 hours to put together, but I just wanted to give you guys a look at Hellblade Senua Sacrifice. Definitely a must-own game in my opinion. If anything happens later on in the game that just completely breaks it or something, I will let you guys know in the pinned comment in the comment section down below. And if I end up getting a review copy of the game sent to me late, we'll do a giveaway on that. So be sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter because I'll announce it on there. All the links for that are in the description box down below. But let me know in the comments if you have played this game and if you enjoyed this game like I've been enjoying it. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Later.